It's a good day for a good day. Hello, everybody. My name's Cece Ray. Thanks for joining me here at Break the Dish, where we break the news and dish out the tea. Today, breakers, as the trailer dropped for In the City, I thought it would be appropriate to let's dish some tea on this because you know what? The timeline of Amanda and Kyle separating isn't quite mathing. You know what I mean? But before we get into it, you know what to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Today, we're dishing the tea. Hello, breakers. Today, the trailer dropped for In the City. This is the spinoff for Summer House. And oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about. So last week it broke that Amanda and West have been canoodling. But how long has that been going on? And really, how long has Amanda and Kyle been separated? Now, you know, half of this is my opinion and half of this is sources behind it. So, let's get into it, shall we? So, we've all been watching In Summer House. Now, Summer House was filmed last summer. Okay, but we're watching it right now. Okay. Amanda and Kyle, they dated on Summer House. They got married on Summer House. And then the last few years, we've seen them have real adult problems. They've gone to counseling. They've had fertility problems. She's been struggling with mental health. In the meantime, he's building this business, Loverboy. It's going really well. I think it plateaued and then it stopped. Which at the same time is kind of interesting because then she started a bathing suit line. He's not taking a paycheck. Matter of fact, he took a $500,000 loan out. Who's paying for the apartment? Who's paying for her bathing suit line? Because the $500,000 loan he took out is to pay his employees to keep them working. Interesting, right? Well, sources tell me that she's kind of like a trust fund baby. Okay, so I see where that money's coming from for her bathing suit line, but who's still paying their bills? So now Kyle decides to take DJ gigs. Now, at first, we know he's really desperate because apparently it's mentioned that he actually was like DJing at Penn State, like on a Thursday night, not even a weekend. But slowly he's building this DJ line and he's also trying to cross-promote Loverboy. Smart. Very smart. Unfortunately, though, Kyle's a partier. He's always been like this. He's like Peter Pan. He never wants to grow up. Amanda married him like that. She knows he's like that. Now, before they got married, yes, he cheated on her maybe once, allegedly twice. Who knows? But the interesting thing is that this season, while we're watching Summer House, man, she is just digging at him. I mean, really digging at him. She's been doing that the last 2 years, but this year, like, he doesn't even breathe right? But if you also notice, they never drive together to the Hamptons. They're not driving back together to the Hamptons. Interesting, right? So you're thinking, oh, Kyle's such a bad person. And Amanda's trying to set herself up as being like the battered wife type deal. You know what I mean? She's put up with so much. She's not going to put up with it anymore. She even mentions to the girls that he apparently was DJing one night and decided to stay at a quote unquote fan's house. Is that true? Possibly. But I think that happened after they separated. I think they separated, actually, before Summer House was being filmed. And why they decided to put this big facade on that they were still together, hello, they need the money. They're filming Summer House. Also, they knew right after Summer House, they would be filming in the city. Now, what we do know, sources have said, and now we see the trailer, that in the city, that's the demise of their relationship, even though I thought we were watching that on Summer House, to be honest. But that quote unquote is the demise. And apparently she moves out because right after they stop filming in the city is in January of 2026, they put out a joint statement saying that they've decided to separate. But the interesting thing is that sources are saying that, okay, in the city is when she moves out of the building. But before that, she moved out of their apartment into her own apartment, but in the same building. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what's making me think that they were separated before they got to film Summer House last summer. Okay. Now, it's interesting too, because allegedly, I'm going to put allegedly on here, sources are saying, and one of them is a castmate, just putting it out there, that Amanda cheated on Kyle. In Italy last August at a wedding with Ben. Yeah, the new castmate from Summer House, the Bachelor from the land down under. Yeah, him. Now, we see in the previews, she kind of mentions this, like, he wanted something to happen, but nothing ever happened, almost to cover her butt, because he mentioned something. Do you see what I'm saying? It's kind of interesting, right? And so I also find it interesting that her and Kyle, throughout Summer House, constantly say the same word, compartmentalizing. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, because it's a word I have a difficult time pronouncing. But they both say the same word, which tells me that they're trying to make sure that it goes off that they're still together. And when they get back to the city, they're separated. Now, however, this is my opinion. I'm thinking that in Kyle's head, I think he was thinking that when they film Summer House, that maybe somehow they'll be brought back together, because this is what brought them together, That doesn't happen. Now, why doesn't that happen? Open the door to West Wilson. So apparently last week it broke that Amanda and West Wilson, are together. They're a couple. Did that just happen? Like last week? No. Now I rewatch Summer House. And if you rewatch it, it's quite telling. They always sit together at a table. They always standing next to each other in the kitchen. This last episode, when Kyle walks through and says F you to Amanda, she's basically on top of Wes. And then all of a sudden, Wes is like completely invested in their relationship. He has to go comfort Amanda. But before he does it, if you notice, he grabs a sock. Yeah. Take a look. And I think he grabs that sock and goes into the bathroom or closet, whatever that is, to stop the microphone, to huddle the microphone. Because if you listen closely, there's a little time frame where nobody's speaking. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you hear her like crying, which I don't even think she was crying. I think she was faking it. Then when you see Wes come out of that room, Kyle is standing right there. And if you notice Wes's body language, he like takes a step like, oh crap, like that. And then he goes to talk to Kyle. Oh man, you shouldn't say that to your wife. He's just so invested. When did you become so invested, Wes? Just curious. I also find it interesting that he leaves the room. Kyle's still going off on Amanda, so now she comes out of the bedroom. And if you notice, Wes puts his hand behind his back, like, and I've done this with my significant others, so I know, like, when they put their hand behind their back, you're used to grabbing their hand. Come on, let's go, that type of thing. You don't do that unless you've done it before with someone. You see what I'm saying? He automatically does that, and then she kind of pushes him away and says, I need a soda water. And he like follows her like a little puppy dog. And then he goes back into the bedroom to be like the knight in shining armor to Kyle. And she comes in the bedroom, turns the lights out, lays down, goes to bed. He comes out of the bathroom and he says, I love you. Now, of course, I've had friends that say, I love you. I love you too, right? She doesn't say that. He says, I love you. And she says, I'm sorry. What are you sorry for? Because both of you are living in this big facade with cameras running? Just curious. Is that what you're sorry for? And then he walks out and says, if you need anything, let me know. Why are you so invested, Wes? So now I'm starting to see this in a different light. You know what I mean? Now, let's talk about Amanda's buddy, Sierra. Now, Sierra dated Wes in 2023. The summer they got together. By the end of the year, they broke up. It was not a good breakup. And so she's had this whole year and a half to process. A girl's allowed to process, right? So now we see her during this filming of Summer House, which is last summer. She's starting to change a little bit towards him. She's not as cold towards him. She's starting to see him as a human again. She's starting to like him again. Oh boy, if she only knew. Because this continued on apparently throughout the year to March. It's now April, just a month ago, not even a month ago. Apparently, he was courting Sierra. Now that's allegedly, let's put it out there. And this is alleged too, how this all came down. So Sierra had a thought, that's like women's intuition. When in doubt, get out. Like I always tell my kids that. I think she had an intuition. That's what made her look probably at Amanda's location and saw that it was at Wes's. Kind of questioned it, allegedly, and Amanda said they were just friends. But then this chick that lives across the street from Wes's apartment building is friends with Hannah. This is what the story is. And these two start making out. She videos it. She calls Hannah and says, hey, your girl there is canoodling with Wes. So Sierra meets up with this girl to see the video. She texts Amanda. Amanda takes 15 hours to reply. And her reply is, it's serious. Serious? Meanwhile, he's been courting your best buddy there. He's had a chick in Montana for 2 years. Hello, this is how she found out. Okay. Supposedly, he had a chick in Chicago as well. Matter of fact, just a few weeks ago when he was on Watch What Happens Live, the chick in Montana makes like these ties. He was wearing one of her ties. But he's with Amanda. Crazy, right? So when I believe it's Man on the Street does an interview with Kyle after this all broke. And if you notice, Carl's a mess. Carl's just a mess. But if you notice, Kyle is like, you know, really angry at Wes, but so concerned about Amanda, concerned that she's being cyberbullied, concerned for her mental health, not angry with her that she did this behind his back while they're supposedly together. You see what I'm saying? But all his anger is towards Wes because, like, he's a player. How could he go for her knowing that she was vulnerable? This chick was not vulnerable. However, this is how Kyle's acting, which makes me think that they were already separated, so he feels as though she's allowed to do what she wants, but he didn't expect it to be with this guy, a friend, a castmate, and somebody who actually was courting their friend Sierra. That's the issue that Kyle has. Now, recently, I think it was yesterday, I didn't see it, that he had brought like her flowers or saw her in the street or something. How nice of you, Kyle. And maybe that's guilt coming from him because he has not been the best husband. But she made it seem as though he's horrible. That's why they're going to get separated. That's why they're divorcing. Like she's laying it all on him when she was the one playing. Just saying. You know what I mean? Allegedly. We'll put allegedly on that. So now no one's really heard from Sierra. She hasn't made a statement yet. I'm sure that that's going to be a big one when it comes out. Her team is not idiots. And this apparently came as a huge surprise to everyone, including all of us. So now I'm seeing Summer House with a different angle. Well, why do I even want to watch In the City? I mean, it could be good because there's other castmates, but like, it's like a total lie. And that's not what reality television is supposed to be about. We're supposed to be watching reality. And even though I know I'm not an idiot, just like you guys, I mean, you know, the producers, you know, they edit certain things, they make things look a certain way. I get it. But to put a facade on that you're together when you're not, I mean, it's worse than Scandal. It really is. Think about it. I mean, Ariana made out like a champ when really she shouldn't have, to be quite honest. Because for the last couple of years, that relationship was going downhill big time. She didn't have a nice thing to say about him, right? What I found interesting about Scandal is that when he sat there across from her the last time they spoke, he said, I tried breaking up with you multiple times and you wouldn't let me. And she never said a word back, which makes me think he was telling the truth. And that's because they had so many brand deals running. They had the show. This is how it was paying for their house. They just had so much going on that they had to keep this facade up. Unfortunately, though, he put his hand in the cookie jar. Well, guess what? This is even worse because not only are these two doing the same thing with a big facade, but she's got her hand in the cookie jar, not only with his friend and castmate, but her best friend's guy that she's crying about, that she's spilling her thoughts about, like her inner feelings about, all the way up to what? Dating him not that long ago? Crazy. But if you notice, when you watch Summer House from a different light now, with a different pair of eyes, they're together all the time. They're sitting together all the time. They're standing in the kitchen all the time. And her and Kyle never leave to go to the Hamptons together, and they don't come back together. And I find that very interesting. Like I said, they're using the same words, compartmentalizing. They're trying to say, okay, well, in this show, we're together, but when we get home, we're not together. What a mess. What a mess. I hope Sierra makes out like a champ. What I don't like is that even though he was a bad husband, he should have never gotten married because he's Peter Pan. Kyle is Peter Pan. He never wants to grow up. But Amanda, throughout this whole season, this guy can't breathe right. I mean, she is constantly putting him down over and over and over again. She's telling the girls how he slept at a fan's house. You know, we're not talking about your discretions, are we, Amanda? And that's where I have a problem. That's where I feel like you're just trying to get him good while you thought you were going to come out smelling like a rose. But guess what? The joke's on you. Because you decided to fall for a player. Which is crazy. You like went out of the pan into the fire, like literally. Welcome to reality television, I guess. But what do you guys think? I mean, do you think they were separated before Summer House films? I really do think they were. I think that's why he's not angry. I think that's why in his head, he's like, she was allowed to do what she wants, just nobody knew. But that's why all his anger is towards Wes, because he didn't think it would be with him. Just my opinion. What do you guys think? I mean, it is telling, isn't it, that they never arrive together. Kyle and Amanda never go to the Hamptons together and then never come back together. She's constantly cutting him down through this entire season. Every single time she's cutting him down. And she really thought she was going to come out of this like, poor me, I'm the victim. You know, he's a bad husband. When really we weren't talking about her discretions, allegedly, or now what she's been doing with Wes that she's admitted to. It's crazy. Crazy. It's worse than Scandal. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But keep the conversation going. I love to hear you in the comments below. And before you do, make sure you like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, because here we break the dick.